What's up, everybody? It's Michael Burns with One Mic Out, bringing another one to you. And it's, let's see, real little recap. Went to Thunder Beach Motorcycle Rally in Panama City Beach, Florida. Not necessarily really a rally, it's more of a meetup, if you will, of bikers and stuff like that. But it's not like in your traditional term of a rally. Normally, there's going to be areas where there's like poker runs, there's rides, different routes, and all that kind of stuff that people go on and things like that. Here, it's just more of a drink fest and a meetup, and hey, let's go spend a bazillion dollars at the next bar for some stupid reason, and stuff like that. And so, that's just what that vibe really is, and it kind of. It's not a bad rally. I'm not going to speak bad of it, but it's fun. It's the crowd that you keep that makes it fun and stuff like that. So, if you've never been, get on down to the Panama City Beach, May or October. They do it twice a year, and if you're a biker enthusiast, and go have some fun. While we were there, there was a mall shooting in Allen, Texas, and then there was an SUV that looks like the driver lost control, probably fleeing police or something. I don't know what it was exactly, but he lost control and killed a bunch of migrants. And all sad. It's always sad, and and the shootings are always the most impactful shock and awe when that happens, because it's happening. It's not the tool that's being used, the gun that's being used, that makes it shock and awe. In my opinion, it's the unnecessary action and unneeded action of another who's mentally ill, carrying out violent acts on the innocent. I think that's what impacts us the most, but we seek to blame something, and the inanimate object is normally what is to blame, which is the gun. Where if you look at the SUV case and the other one, in the beginning they were saying it was a white supremacist. You took out these migrants or whatnot. They were saying there's this big white supremacy agenda going on, and so I threw out the question on Twitter. I'm like, oh yeah, sad. It's not mental illness, right? Because at first they thought it was intentional. And I guess they're still investigating if it's intentional, but I don't believe it was. But anyway, when they were thinking it was intentional, these were the narratives that were being thrown out. And so I just put out, man, these SUVs, you got one person in a huge SUV. Is that really needed? Do you really need someone in that big of an SUV all alone? Even if you lost control, do you need an SUV? When you're just one person, do you need a big truck? Let's regulate that, but let's blame the SUV. It's the SUV's fault. Let's make sure that no one does this again, and no one's able to purchase an SUV all by themselves. They have to prove that they have a family and a need for it, and they have to use it for hunting. It's fucking insane, people. The Second Amendment was meant to, for us to keep to keep the unalienable right to bear arms, and that wasn't to hunt. That had nothing to do with hunting. The Second Amendment wasn't, if you look at the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Second Amendment is freedom to protect yourself and freedom to overthrow a tyrannical government. Now we all say, remember we used to say banks are too big to fail and businesses too big to fail, and they got saved. Now we believe that the government's too big to fail. What would happen now? There's just too much of it and too much to govern. Well, that's why the Second Amendment was there. It was written. It's nothing is too big to start over. They hit the reset button on, and the government. We can't just, in my opinion, you can't just sit there and go, well, they're just, they're too big. It's just how it is. It's just going to be, that is what it is, and we're just going to sit there and continue to let this bullshit and this evil continue to take place, in these agendas that are meaning, to drive ourselves apart and drive that wedge in. You can't, we're just going to continue letting that happen. At some point you have to ask yourself, okay, at what point is there a rise up? At what point do we say enough is enough? The current model has gotten out of hand. No term limits. You got insider trading with congressmen and women. You got, they're taking advantage of the American taxpayer, and they're going after. The statistics are there, and they go after the middle class more so than any other, because they want to drive that gap in between the lower class and the upper class even further apart from one another. It's easier to maintain and manage those people. And the elite, they see that opportunity. They're like, it's like blood in the water, and they're going for it. But if you had a people rise up, everyone together collectively, people who had shared or had views of, who were left and those who were right, finally understood, like, hey, the government, it doesn't have our best interest at hand or in mind, and they never will. Then at what point do you go, enough is enough, and does everyone do that? Unfortunately, I'm a pessimist, and I don't believe that'll ever happen. I don't believe there will ever be a point where there is just like this massive uprising of enough is enough, because it's such a frog in a frying pan situation where it just the temperature continuously gets increased, and we just stay here we are. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that people, would band together and start to finally fight back, because I think that's what it's coming to. And when you got billions and billions of dollars going overseas to Ukraine to fight a bullshit, here we got out of Afghanistan for what? Just so we could send all that money we were supposed to be saving that money that was supposed to be coming home, and now we're just sending it to Ukraine. And you have Biden, saying, sacrifice by paying higher gas prices so that way we can send more money to Ukraine. I don't know how that logic works, but apparently in his Alzheimer's brain, he thinks that would work. But at this point in time, the government, it's being run by other entities, and not presidents anymore. It's not being run by those elected officials necessarily. The lower hanging fruit is, but the real deep in the wood stuff or in the weed stuff, I don't believe it is. I believe there's other people with a lot deeper bank accounts who are controlling us. And it's pretty evident if you look at everything going on today with the push of the transgenderism. Why is that a thing? It's synthetic. It was made up. It was just a made up class that said, okay, now we're oppressed. All of a sudden, when it's like, wait, who are you? Wait, where did you come from? And you're oppressed. You're oppressed. We didn't even know about you. And now here you are saying you're oppressed. Okay, well, I'm a 3-headed purple, polka dotted, tree monster. And I'm oppressed. Where's all of my benefits? Because you've been oppressing me because you haven't even acknowledged me. You won't even call me about what I really am. It's just insane. I shared a meme today, or a GIF, or whatever you want to call it, on the old book face. Is showing a motorcyclist enters Tour de France and wins it. Identifying as a cyclist. It's like when does the madness end, and when do people finally stand up and say enough is enough? This is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. You can play dress up all you want, but your cells, your genome, everything, your DNA is still coded to be male or female, whatever gender in sex you were born as. And just because you cut off some skin on your leg and form a penis that looks like a Vienna sausage, doesn't make you a dude. It just makes you a mutilated female, and vice versa. It doesn't do anything. You can put all the fake plastic inside of you all you want. It doesn't make you that thing. That's all make-believe. You can play dress up all you want, but you are still what you were born as. I'm sorry. And to those people, it's you're a made up category to try and seek attention from, and you're pulling attention away from, areas that truly need this attention. There's no, where's the female uprising, against, to start boycotting. I did read today that there was a cyclist race that was, they had to finally kick out the dude who was trying to identify as a female, because all the other female or women finally rose up. The real women rose up and said, "Hey, nope, not doing it. We're gonna boycott this race, and you're gonna have a race of one." And they said, shit, we can't do this." So they told the dude, "Hey, sorry, we're not gonna have a race if you're in it, so you got to go." More people need to start doing that. Politicians pander, and people who are groomed by politicians pander because they believe one day they might have a future in it because they made buddy-buddy with some senator or congressman or woman. They like to pander. So they'll pander whichever way the pendulum is swinging. Biden's a great example of this. He used to be against gay marriage and all that kind of stuff. Same with Hillary. And then all of a sudden, poof, kaboom, more votes if we say we are. Because that's the cool thing to do. It's the fad. It's all wrong. It's all messed up. A line in the sand had to be drawn. And that line in the sand should have been drawn at the definition of marriage between a man and a woman. Unfortunately, some are you can't appease, you can't help, you can't make everybody happy. So you go with the majority, and the majority is, hey, it is between a man and a woman. And if you want to be of a same sex union, then that's what you could call it and go be that. But marriage itself, would be identified as a man and a woman. And the reason I say that is because once that happened, then Pandora's box was open. And once Pandora's box was open, then again, you would have people that go, I'm in love with this bottle. This is my bottle. I was born this way. This is just who I am. I love this bottle, and I should have rights because this bottle I'm in love with, I want to get married to it. I want to do inexplicable things to it. I want to dress up as a female, and it's always the guys who want to dress up as the females and then parade around in front of kids, these pedophiles. And that agenda is being pushed, and being like, oh, it's not that bad of a thing. I think it was the UN that came out and they're pushing minor attracted people and saying that it's a thing now and that it should be okay, and that minors, there should be no age limit on when children can consent to have sex. I mean, the world, it's biblical stuff that's going on right now, and they would call you crazy to believe in that when they want you to believe that they're a female when they were actually a dude. It's insane, people. It's hocus pocus. And so at what point do people finally say enough is enough? We got to rise the fuck up. We got to say, you know what? We're done. We're not playing this game anymore. You're done. And for any politician who entertained this, you're done. You're done because you're not fit to be in office. If you're a politician and you ever supported the idea of mutilating a child because they came out and said, I feel like I should be a little girl or little boy because at school they have a freak of a teacher who's pushing that on them, then you know what? They should be yanked from office. They should be done. You do not collect go, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You're done. And that's literally how it should be. There should be hard lines drawn, and there should be, when the moment it's crossed, you're out of here. You're no longer able to ever hold elected office again, and you're out of here. If you pander, if you flip-flop, if you have a history of flip-flopping, if you ever are a career politician, be gone. You should just be gone. That's it. A foot has to be put down, a line has to be drawn, and people need to start rising up and saying enough is enough. Will they? Unfortunately, no, they won't, because people want to be comfortable. They don't want to deal with inconvenience, and I get that. But there has to come a time when people say enough is fucking enough. You can sit here and try and pin these, these shootings and stuff like that happened at the mall, and then this SUV that killed all these migrants as white supremacy, even though the people who committed them were Hispanic. It's insane. Last names are like Garcia, and I forget the other one's name, but the SUV guy. But it's like it's insane, It reminds me of the Dave Chappelle episode, where he's blind. He's a blind black Klansman, but they didn't want to tell him, they didn't want to tell him that he was black. Here, the shooter in Allen, Texas, had a patch on his vest that was something like an SS. That's like a white supremacist patch, even though he himself is Hispanic. That's why I say there's like an agenda being pushed. There's more to all this, because once that shock and awe, that story gets out and it's like, look at what these white supremacists did. Opinions have already been formulated and people have already made up their mind, even though the facts might trickle out later on, just like the George Floyd bullshit and the Michael Brown bullshit. People, once those initial shock of all those things come out, opinions have already been, facts don't matter at that point. And remember a couple of years ago when people were asked what's more important, facts or opinions, and they're like, opinions. No, facts. So it's insane, people. So at what point do you say enough is enough? And that's my question. That's my question of the day. When is enough enough?